Welcome to the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles, the original food service equipment repair podcast built by technicians for technicians. Whether you're on the front lines of repair, keeping the kitchen running smoothly, or just passionate about the food service industry, this podcast is your go-to source for expert insights, tech tips, and real stories from the field. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Commercial Kitchen Chronicles. Tonight, I have Jason Latimer back in the house, and we have Joe Madden. But first, Joe Madden, sorry. I've got a friend named Jay Madden, so it happens all the time.
No big deal.
Jason caught me before the show even saying it too. So, but first, we are very fortunate to have a sponsor tonight, and that is Refrigeration Technologies of Viper. So, have you ever wondered what makes Viper different? It's not just coil cleaning products; it's chemistry you can trust. Created by a tech for techs with over 35 years in the industry, Viper helps keep HVACR systems in top shape. So. Thanks, Viper and Refrigeration Technologies. You guys are awesome. So, what is up, man? I'm excited to have Jason back. Jason comes and goes. He's really busy at work. He's traveling a bunch, and he's over there killing it at the facility side. But he was able to join us tonight, and we have a very special guest, Joe Madden. Joe Madden is an HVAC and plumbing contractor out of the Cape Cod area, correct?
Yes.
Sweet. So, we connected on Instagram a little bit, talked back and forth, and I was happy, you wanted to jump on the show and talk about, what you do and how you got started and stuff like that. So first off, just give a little background about yourself and where you're at and how you got started in HVACR business.
Yeah. So I'm out of Harwich, Massachusetts, and, I opened up my own shop about 4 or 5 years ago. And, I kind of got started probably at this point, probably like 12, 15 years ago. And kind of like anything else, I was done with school, just needed a job. And, one of my friends was doing HVAC and his brother had his own company. And it was, at the time, it was good enough. Right. So, just wake up, go to work and got a steady paycheck. And, from there, it kind of progressed. Like, it was for him, it was just like a one-man show and small company. And, started kind of needing a little bit more, right? Like I needed the benefits and all that stuff. So I hopped over to a larger company that offered the 401ks, the health benefits and things like that, and still doing HVAC. And I did eventually make the transition to plumbing because it was kind of like the state of Mass was like kind of in limbo. They had just sort of laid the groundwork for the curriculum in order to do the hours and the schoolwork and all that stuff. But at the time, there was nowhere to do the school. And I wasn't really big on wasting time. So I was like, well, the whole plumbing thing's already set up. It's already been set up. And I kind of made a request. I'm like, can I just start plumbing? I'd like to start the school. And that's kind of how I got into plumbing, because the company that I was at, they did both, right? They did they go hand in hand a lot. So this company, they pushed me over to plumbing, and, the rest is kind of history.
So what did you do before you got into HVAC?
I was a Zamboni driver at an ice rink. Yeah.
How's that? That's cool.
It was pretty cool. I guess you could even call it, a little bit of an introduction to refrigeration and that realm of things, because there are, giant chillers back there that pump the glycol and keep the ice frozen. And that was sort of part of my job, was, not maintaining them, but just making sure that they were working and the ice wasn't melting. And then if it was melting, I'd have to make a phone call. But that was pretty cool. Just, hopping on the Zamboni and making ice. And that's what I was doing before. A little bit of painting for a company. That was terribly boring, staring at walls all day, sanding and caulking. And I was like, I can't do this for another summer. And so I started picking up more shifts at the ice rink. And I did some bartending too. I did a lot of bartending. Like I was telling you earlier, you can't go around a corner where I am without finding a restaurant. So big tourist industry. The summertime is crazy here. The population literally will double, if not triple, from snowbirds or
in season.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, so I had bartended for probably like 8 to 10 years. At a local pub, which was great. But I did that kind of also doing the whole HVAC and plumbing thing. So I do, work a 8-hour day, then go in and work, 6 to 1 in the morning, and wake up for a 7 a.m. start time, plumbing or HVAC or whatever, wherever I was at the time.
That'll make you old real fast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are, dude. That'll wear you out. That's rough.
Talk about counting steps. There was a lot of steps in those doubles for sure.
So did you go to college or anything else out of high school, or did you?
Yeah, I did. I finished college. It took me 6 years. Most of them are called doctors, not me. I graduated with a bachelor's in entrepreneurship and small business management. And it was kind of right around the time they started exploring with like online classes and stuff, which really honestly helped, 6 years, I say expedite, but I was able to do those online classes and still go to work and all that stuff. So it's sort of it seems like in the trades, they say, hey, you don't need to go to college, and you certainly don't. Trades are a great option if you don't think school's for you. But I had the opportunity just to and I wanted to finish it. That was the biggest thing, is I didn't want to start something and not finish. So it's certain, I would say it helped too, running your own business. It gives you a little bit of you kind of get your feet wet a little bit in terms of reading financial statements and that type of thing, but it's certainly not necessary for sure.
So what made you decide that you wanted to work for yourself?
I think it was always kind of in the game plan. It's the freedom of making your own schedule is a big draw, but I kind of quickly found out that it's kind of a fallacy, right? Like, you get so busy and these people want things done. It's tough to break away, honestly. But I really, managing the schedule with, I got, 2 young kids, it does alleviate a lot of the pressure of, showing up for work, making sure you get the 40 hours, that type of deal. The mornings are much more relaxed now. I can kind of, I get the kids out the door, then I can get myself ready and go to work. I don't have like a hard start time, and that type of deal. So I think that was certainly a big proponent of it. Where I am, it's, there's a lot of, one-man small shops. And I think I had a lot of friends that right out of high school started their own business, whether it was landscaping or you name it. But I said, hey, if they can do it, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't at least try.
Cool. How long you been in business then?
Only, I think I opened up the doors officially in 2020 or 2019. I honestly, I don't know.
So a rough time to open the doors.
COVID, yeah, for sure. But we had a huge COVID boom here. I mean, I couldn't have timed it better if I wanted to. I saved up all this side work and chewed through all that in about 2 weeks, and didn't have a lot of downtime. It gave me an opportunity to set up the business and do all the right things. I'm an S corp, so that takes time, filing it with I think I did it through LegalZoom or something, but finding an accountant and setting up a website and all that stuff. And, the word of mouth is huge where I am. And it didn't take long to get a backlog of work, and from there, it just kind of kept growing.
That's cool. So do you do primarily residential and then light commercial, you said?
Yeah, primarily it's residential work, remodels, additions, new homes, and then light commercial. I won't take on anything that's like industrial or heavy commercial, but like I said, the ice rink still calls me for work if they need it, and kitchen restaurant kitchens for repair work and stuff like that if if they're a good friend of mine.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like restaurants. It's a different animal. I don't know how the laws are and codes are after by you, but where we're at, it just seems like every city and every jurisdiction has their own little like kick or spin on things. I've got units where I have to use a quench system on a combi drain, but the combi is dumping out water. It's under like 120 degrees because it's quenching itself before it dumps it, but yet they still want quenching on it. And then I'm like, how am I going to do that? I get dump it in an open drain. It's just one thing after another. It's just, I've had some cities that make us hook a combi up to a grease trap. I'm like, it has to be an open drain. I said, no. So now I'm tying this into this portable grease trap. I said, when it clogs, I said, everything's just going to build up inside this combi oven. I've got ovens where they put it in clean mode and it won't drain. And you look inside, there's 4 inches of water up to glass. I'm like,
yeah,
that's clogged. I can't do nothing with that. I'm like, clean your grease trap.
But yeah, so where I'm in Mass, so it's like, you know, restaurants have their own little like section in the code that, you know, if you're doing work there, you got to know it because someone's going to come in, and whether it's even the health inspector or something, and call you out. And then if you don't know what you're doing, you know, you're losing money because you got to go back there and fix it. You can't sell yourself that you know what you're doing and go back and someone says that what you did isn't right, especially if they're a municipal authority, you know.
I deal with that with a lot of different I have a pretty large region, and it's like every city and municipality has a different code for backflows, and every plumber's got like one plumber can't cross into the next town because they have to be, you know, backflow certified by that municipality. And it's just like, my Lord, that's a lot going on.
Yeah. It's is it really too much to ask if they just get all on the same page and
make it at least statewide, you know, state federal at least.
It's not even county-wide, it seems like. A lot of times, this is whoever's in that jurisdiction does whatever they want.
It's like township to township. It's crazy.
Yeah, I can see down there in Florida being an issue, huge issue. There's a lot of tourist stuff down there, man.
Yeah.
So, is there like a lot of vacation homes in your area then? I know you said it's like a really big vacation area. So, you do a lot of stuff like that. So, do you have to these houses?
Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have to winterize these houses then, or they pretty much just leave them heated year-round, or what's going on?
Yeah, so winterizing homes is definitely a big part of some people's businesses. I don't do it, but we have a ton of vacation homes, and you know, people. It's a good like a lot of guys who are like retired will do it because it's, you know, you hook up your compressor and you blow out the home, and it's you know, they can do like 4, 5, 6 in a day depending on the size of the house, and you know, of course, with the turn-offs in fall come the turn-ons in spring, and you know, it's for them, it's a nice little payday to do whatever. If you got a clientele list of 20 homes or something, just an easy week of work, and it obviously always leads to more. You know, you go in there and the water heater's broken, or you know, you get a leaky faucet or something, and you know, that stuff is just comes right with it.
Yeah, that stuff don't like being left off for 4, 5, 6 months at a time. It's amazing.
No. You got to wonder too, like what it costs to blow out a home versus, you know, keeping your heat at 50 degrees. And I guess you don't have to worry about the heat breaking and then your whole house freezing. But
yeah, I see a lot of guys up north of me, and even some guys out, you know, in your area, like they'll have outdoor showers and stuff on these houses. Like if it's a lake house or if it's a beach house, they'll have an outdoor shower. And like they got to do that, and like a lot of them, the water heaters are outside, and like or the tankless is, you know, mounted outside and stuff because they're small properties and that's square footage. They can just put it outside; it doesn't hurt anything. It's always cool watching those guys do that stuff. But I'm like, man, I was like, that's a lot of liability to come back in spring and turn it on because you got to hang out and wait and see what's leaking, make sure nothing's broke, and then if something is broke, you hope you catch it fast enough where it does damage.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing. That's kind of why I don't do it right now, because it's like, you know, you go on and you turn all these homes on in the spring, and I didn't winterize a house good enough, or some water collected somewhere and it freeze and broke a pipe, and next thing you know, like your schedule is just thrown out the window because you're in this house it's a wild goose chase. You never know how long it's going to take to fix the frozen pipe, or if there's more of them or whatever. It'll kill your schedule.
That's a good point.
So when you say pressure, you use a compressor. Is it just someone opening up a end and just pushing all the water out and then closing it up? Because I heard you're supposed to just let it drip.
No, so we blow it all out. So or a lot of guys do. So if I do it, usually what I'll do is I'll hook up take my compressor and I'll hook it up to like a silcock, and then I'll start pressurizing it from there, push all the water out of the tank, and then use that as like a what do you call it? Like a buffer tank, and fill that with air, and then start running all the faucets and push all the water out of there.
So if it has to, it turns into a reserve maybe, or
like
you say?
Of air. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll push all the water out of the tank, and then we'll fill the tank with air.
It remains pressurized after you leave?
No. It's all and then everything gets left open.
Okay. You got to forgive me. I was raised in Florida.
That's okay. No.
That's all.
Whole different. Yeah, you get, but like I said, I don't know. Like if it was me, I think I would just get a Wi-Fi thermostat and,
monitor it. And if you get an alert, call someone.
Yeah, exactly.
That sounds like that makes a lot more that makes some sense right there with technology. Everything's connected. So
that's what Eric Ronnie talks about, Mechanical Hub. He talks about like he'll do like these lake houses or cabins, and he's like most of them anymore just have boiler systems. They set the heat to like 30, set the heat to like 50, and just like let it go all winter, and they just monitor it with apps. And then if they have a problem, they call him. He's got a code to get in the door. He has to go in there and fix it.
Right. Yeah.
So I can see.
Then there's no surprises too when you go in the spring. You can just kind of just show up and everything's good to go.
Oh, yeah, well, you got apps like the Mow and Flow app that tells you if you have flow and stuff. I mean, it'll alarm you if you have flow all of a sudden. There's plenty of things you could do to prevent major damage. So,
yeah.
So, did you ever imagine being a kid you'd be an HVAC and plumbing contractor and own your own business, or?
No, I don't think. No, no, it wasn't a dream of mine as a kid. I thought as a kid I was going to be a cop or something like that. And when I actually started working with those two brothers, I was like, I don't know, I was, on the town websites, like kind of hemming and hawing about it, of whether or not I was going to be a police officer or a fireman or something. And I kind of gravitated towards, once I got into plumbing, I actually started to really love it. So it kind of made the decision for me.
Your gateway into plumbing, was that through boilers then for heating?
Yeah. So I probably should say, yeah. So when I was plumbing, most of the stuff that I was doing was hydronic systems, all boilers, natural gas mains and propane mains and things like that. And so didn't do a lot of drainage or venting for like the typical standard plumbing. Every now and then I do it, but that's how I got all my hours. And day in, day out, it was doing radiant floors or, piping in air handlers or something like that, installing a boiler with all the zones and everything that goes with it.
You do driveways?
No, ice melt's not too big on the where I am.
Okay.
There are a few systems, but I've never done one.
Yeah, I was going to ask the same thing because those things, I am so fascinated by those. Like
it's like PEX, right? Just back and forth, and then they are some sort of.
Yeah, I think it's just PEX, and you lay it, and then they don't pave the driveway; they just do it in concrete. Okay. And then there's like a little sensor out there that tells you if you get a lot of snow, it'll just turn on if it's below 32.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is, and then but we haven't had in the last 10 years, we haven't had too much snow, to be honest, which is, some people think it's nice. I mean, I like a good snowstorm 2-3 times a year,
Oh, I'm the same way, man. But yeah, I think most of the systems have a temperature sensor, and then they have like a probe system where it senses like the water across it from snow or whatever, and it completes the circuit and kicks on.
Yeah.
That's a pretty cool system. If you got that, you're a baller, is all I got to say.
Yeah, no kidding. I think the one that I saw had its own boiler. I mean, it was the house had 2 boilers, and one was dedicated for the snow melt.
Yep, the ones I always see like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, baller for sure.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you just do a lot of service plumbing then? You're not doing new rough ends or anything like that? It's mainly just service stuff? Or are you doing like hydronics installs as well? Or
Yeah, so I do installs. I'll service it if I install it, or if they're already like an existing customer, I'll go and fix the boiler if there's something wrong. But most of the stuff that I do now is really your typical plumbing. I mean, bathrooms and kitchens and that type of deal, roughing in for new homes or something like that. And it was certainly a learning experience. I mean, you can read a textbook all day long, but the application on the job site is something in my mind like entirely different.
So Megan and Matt with Mechanical Environments, they want to know if your region is mainly natural gas, propane, or oil, or do you have any steam boilers as well?
No steam. Steam's pretty big up in the city.
Yep.
In Boston. Where I am, it's mostly natural gas until you get to a town called Wellfleet, which is a little bit far north if you keep going up the Cape. The natural gas will stop there, and then from there it's propane. So Wellfleet, Truro, and Provincetown are all pretty big on propane and oil.
Nice. I'm a natural gas, and occasionally I'll get a food truck or something with propane.
Yeah,
really, they run it low on propane. It just blocks everything up with soot, and then it's a cleaning mission after that.
Have you ever worked on don't they have like AC units that run off of propane? You ever worked on one of those?
It's coming, right?
It's coming. So it's big over in Europe right now, and it's different though because it's a air to water system. So like your outdoor unit is self-contained, and so all you do is you pipe out water in and out. So it's like a heat pump outside of a water fed heat pump, and it feeds hot water back in or cooled water back into the house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like people don't realize it, but the fridge they have in their house is full of butane. I mean, it's been residential fridges have been full of butane. That's what they ran on for years and years and years. People keep their grills in their house. It has more propane in that grill tank than it does in an air conditioner. So, but everyone wants to freak out. But it's overseas, but it's out there. So if you were to talk to somebody, a kid or somebody wanting to get into HVAC or plumbing, what would you tell them?
Oh, I would tell them to go for it. I don't know. I think with my perspective, I don't know if I'd tell them to just kind of throw college off the table. It's certainly, even if you can like just chip away and do like 2 classes a year or something like that, because I think down the road, like people don't realize what a the stress it puts on your body, working in construction, and getting going to college might open up some more avenues down the road when you're like, oh, my body, like I'm 55 now, like my body can't take this, or it'll maybe make that transition into sales or management or whatever maybe a little bit easier, even though like if you get your degree at 25 or 30, it's been 20 years, but at least you kind of have something that's tangible, I guess, to kind of sell yourself, to get those jobs, to get that stress off your body, and stay healthy, because that's huge. I mean,
my body was telling me that at 39.
Yeah,
that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 32, and I'm like, how much well. Now, if I'd probably lose some weight, it'd probably help out a lot. But I enjoy my bourbon a little too much in my food. So
yeah, we all do. I know I do. But it's important to stay healthy and stay in shape, because it makes it easier for sure. I mean, the construction sites are not meant for all the we're in a sandy territory, so if you're digging a ditch, put some underground gas in or something, it makes it tough if you're not in shape, or it just makes it harder. You come home at the end of the day, a little bit more energy, maybe you just work a little bit more efficiently or something. But I think I'd tell them, definitely go for it. Maybe go work at a bigger company, and that way you can hopefully you can jump around and not get kind of pigeonholed into just doing kind of like what happened to me, is just doing boilers. Hopefully you can get in and do some mini splits, so you can do a little bit of gas work, maybe work on some propane. or start doing some drainage, some DWV type stuff where, you can kind of become a sort of a Swiss Army knife instead of just a one-trick pony. I think that's the biggest thing is learning as much as you possibly can and advocating for yourself to say, hey, I don't want to just install bathrooms. I want to learn some other stuff that goes with this. I think that's the biggest thing.
So Pat, let me jump in real quick. So I want to go back in what you said about college. So I've had this conversation quite a bit with young people, even my kids, because a lot of people start out with, I want to be this, I want to be this, I want to be that. But people need to understand that if it's not a job in demand, it's going to be really hard to get that. I have a lot of friends who have criminal justice degrees and things like that. And, they're not doing that, but they still owe that $100,000. So I've told people for quite a bit, it's like, you know what, there's nothing wrong with going to college and getting that bachelor's, getting that master's.
Nope.
But in your youths, making that decision at, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, that's
a big
very
decision.
Prudent. Yeah. So,
There's
nothing. Yeah. So I recommend, picking up a trade school. It's like I've seen some 6 months, 9 months, a year. I did 4 years between two schools and I didn't, I love that. But, I'm like, go get a trade. You're going to make a killing, tons of money, and you will have enough money when you do decide what you want to do. Even if you're getting your general eds out of the way over the years, you'll have plenty of money to knock that out and not owe that money, so let's try to reverse that. Let's make a smarter decision on something that in your youths, you're all sprawly, jumpy. We're all full of energy. We can crawl around stuff and under stuff and over stuff. I've always recommended that to people, my daughters, I'm like, everybody wants to be a veterinarian. That's cool. It's really expensive. And it's one of those things that, during COVID, a lot of people, it was considered elective if it wasn't an emergency. A lot of jobs were, considered, wasn't a job in demand and it wasn't necessary. So I always say, try to look for a job in demand. You don't have to love it. You can like it. You could learn to love it, because I started out liking this and I love this industry. I love doing it. And you're right. You don't want to be pigeonholed into one position. You should be a Swiss Army knife. And if you aren't a big enough company, you can move around and whatnot. And some of those credentials show your employer that you are investing in yourself. You are being intentional, and you are advocating for yourself and you want to bring something to the table. So yeah, I definitely never want to say swear off. It's not trade school versus college, in my opinion. It's just that there's a time and a place and there's a season for everybody. And it's jumping into a college or a university at 18 when you have no business buying a house, Yeah. It's something that we all need to think about and not demonize any side of education. There's a time and a place.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
It's so polarizing right now. Everyone's like trades over college. Trades get the same.
Yeah.
Trades the same as you do as college. And I see both sides of it. Like, I'm a big advocate for the trades just because that's what I do. And I see the shortages we have as far as technicians and, people in the industries. And I know that, hey, if you don't want to go to school, you want to work with your hands, you want to learn some cool stuff, you can do the trade, you can make some good money, you can get paid to learn. But, there's always still going to be a demand. But look at Jason. He went to college. He came out. He did trades for a while. He accomplished the things he wanted to, accomplish. He became a technician, lead tech. He became a manager of a department, and now look at him. He's a facilities manager for a humongous restaurant corporation, and he's still active in the trades. Heck, he's talking about going out fixing stuff, man.
I fixed some stuff today. I snuck out and did that.
So he went to college, and he still came out. And he went and did things, but he has goals. He has dreams. He's chasing those, and he's using it to that. I mean, there's plenty of paths through the trades and all the skill trades to get to be more. You don't have to just stop at being an installer. You don't have to stop at just being a service tech. You don't have to stop at being, just some guy working for a company. You can start a company like you. You can grow. You can move into management, sales. So there's plenty of opportunities out there.
Yeah. And we still need those other trades that everyone's, talking about, because at the end of the day, as much as I love what I do, you don't want me doing brain surgery on you. You don't want me working on your heart. And we do need those people, so we all need to take a breath and realize that there's a place for everyone. It's not that, they're super smarter or better than us. I mean, we all have a place in society to contribute, and no one's better than anyone else. At the end of the day, we all put the shoes on the same way. We all have we all inspire to have property, family, freedom, love and whatnot, and freedom of speech and this and that. And at the end of the day, those doctors and heart surgeons and us tradesmen all leave the house, and we all come home, and we all come home to the same thing and the same ambition and the same goals. So
you said
it's to make that decision to commit yourself to whatever it is, $150,000, $200,000 of debt when you're not even sure like what you want to do is kind of wild, because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I went to school. I did my first 2 years at a community college just to sort of, like you said, get those gen eds out of the way, and that was a big help just to sort of figure out where I was going to go. And even after that, I still wasn't ready, but it's to commit all that time and effort to a degree that's not going to be applicable to what you actually want to do.
Absolutely.
Is not where you should do.
No, that's heartbreaking to saddle those kids with that kind of stuff. Because think about it, most of the kids go to college, they've been under their parents' wing, they've never really had the free choice. They've always had a curfew, they've always had to do this and that. And college is like, you see it, it's like, oh, I'm not with my parents, I'm free, I can do what I want. A lot of people just see that as
buck wild.
Yeah, they see it as an opportunity to do what they want.
It's a party.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they screw themselves in the process, and it sucks for them.
Yeah.
So you said something that I want to touch on. You want to talk about guys, or technicians, or plumbers, or whatever, advocating for themselves. I've noticed that a lot with these younger people in the trades, that like they don't want to do that. They're just kind of there. They just kind of existing, it seems like, and it's like, how do we get these guys to speak up and be like, hey, what do you want to do? You're not going to ruffle any feathers if you say you don't want to work on this or you want to learn this. We don't want you to be miserable, stuck doing one thing. We want you to, to excel and be happy in what you're doing. Because if you're happy and you like what you're doing, you're going to be productive. You're productive. You're going to make more money for yourself and for the company. So how do we get these guys to actually step up and say, hey, this is what I want to do? Because I've got two boys, 22 and 19, that work with me. They're my sons, and some days I'm like, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. I'm like you do know what you want to do. Like, just say it, man. Like, quit being little turds.
You gotta, I mean, advocating and going to your boss and saying, I think it's a difficult conversation, to be honest, because if you go in there to your superior and you're like, hey, like, this isn't for me, but I want to do this, he might not like it, right? I mean, because he probably likes what you're doing for him, and he's going to lose someone, and he's going to have to replace you. And, he might not take too kindly to that, depending on what kind of guy he is. I was lucky enough where I had that conversation, and, he was a good guy, but he was like, he was kind of like, I could tell he was like, oh man, like, what am I going to do now? I'm going to lose someone. And, I was still pretty replaceable at the time, and I was a helper. So it wasn't like I was a licensed tech with this HVAC stuff, but it just, you got to sit down and think about it, and you have to try it. I mean, maybe you find out HVAC isn't for you. Mm-hmm. Try being an electrician, try going into refrigerate, fixing commercial kitchens, or insulation, or sheetrock, or being a carpenter. Being a carpenter is like great. There's so many little facets to it that you could do. You could build cabinets, you could frame homes, or you could be a GC and just do all the punch list stuff. There's probably some sort of avenue that if you don't like plumbing or HVAC or wherever you're in, but you're not going to know until you try it. Mm-hmm. And it's a risk, and it's hard and uncomfortable to do something that's new and kind of unknown to you when you're like, hey, I want to do this, but I don't really know anything about it. And maybe that's a big hesitation for these young kids to kind of overcome with that risk. I don't know. I got two young girls, and I don't know what they're going to do. They're only 3 and 6. So asking them what they want to do is like,
it changes in a minute.
Yeah. They want to ride unicorns over the rainbow. And I'm like, that's great. We'll just keep it there. And maybe they want to be plumbers. I don't know. We'll see. But
I got 4 daughters, brother.
You got 4? Oh,
Yeah,
man.
25, 24, 17, 11. And my oldest works for an HVAC company as a dispatcher.
Does she like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So I think a lot of it is, and I try telling guys, you have to be your own advocate. You have to speak up for yourself, because where you're at, your boss and your dispatchers are kind of get you to where you fit best, and it makes them money. I mean, I'm not demonizing money. I mean, we're all here to make money. The companies exist to make money, but they're going to kind of work you to what you're good at, what you're familiar with, because that's easier for you to do. It's easier for you to make money. But if you want to do more, you're going to have to speak up, man. I tell my oldest son, he's been doing this 2.5 years. And I told him, I was like, you're starting to get pretty good at this, aren't you? He's like, yeah. I said, you're starting to get bored with it. He goes, yeah. I said, well, what's next? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I'll pick up some more combis. He said, but he's went to school, and he's like, he's like, I'm doing it. Like, they're not really a challenge. I'm like, well, what's next? He's like, well, I think I want to do refrigeration. I was like, well, you better tell him you want to do refrigeration, because I was the same boat. I did 3 years. I got pretty confident, pretty cocky in what I was doing. And I wanted to do refrigeration because I was bored, and they wouldn't train me for refrigeration. So I left, went somewhere else, bounced around, and ended up where I'm at now, luckily. But I mean, he's a lot like me. I don't want to see him do that, but he's got to speak up for himself and be like, hey, I want to do this, and see what they say.
No one's going to do it for him, right?
Yep.
Like, it's all on him.
Yeah, I've never left a job because I just hated it. I've always left because I was bored and I just wanted to do different or more. So, yeah, in the employers, you referenced that, it's 50-50. Some employers are like, well, we need these employees doing what they do, as they sit on the top. And, you got to realize that people want to get where you are and beyond. And, if you need to want to help that happen and whatnot. So that's great. You had that, that support in a lot of instances, and I've had it in a lot of instances myself. So
I'm famous for saying that if I get bored, it's bad for my employer.
Yeah.
I've said that. As long as I'm having fun, I'm good.
As long as I'm engaged and I'm having fun, it's great. But when I get bored, I'm either going to be a pain in the butt or I'm going to do something else. I mean, I hate to say that. It's just I can't go insane, man. I'm not going to do it for money.
Well, it keeps you engaged too. Doing the same thing day in, day out, of just, in my world, just plumbing a bathroom day in, day out. Like, that gets old. I mean, that's why doing the mini splits are nice. It's just something a little bit different. Doing a boiler is great. It's a little bit different. I mean, talk about not knowing what you're doing. I didn't know what I was doing when I opened up shop. I just kind of had to, it was a challenge. It certainly was. It still is. I mean, I can't figure out scheduling. I'm 4.5 years into this thing. I can't. I make a schedule.
What program are you using?
I use
say Excel.
Well, I use the whiteboard here.
That's even more advanced.
Yeah.
That's less complicated, at least.
But I mean, I make a schedule for the month, and 2 days into it, it's out the window. I mean, it's crazy.
So let me ask you, if you don't mind me asking you this, what do you use a program for your dispatching and whatnot, or do you use just like QuickBooks or something?
So I use House Call Pro for invoicing, which I love.
I've heard of that.
It's great. I don't know if I should be saying that, but
it's free advertising for them if they have a problem with
it. It's just a base package, and right now I got my own company, but it's just me and one other guy, so I don't need I don't need like a software that has a schedule for me and him. Like, we kind of can figure it out. We'll see if I add another guy. Maybe we'll have to start thinking about it. That way things don't fall through the cracks, because that's the worst.
Are you getting there? Do you feel like you're getting there, or do you keep this at a level that is, obviously sustainable? You have an extra mouth to feed. You're taking care of an employee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you want to be thoughtful about those types of decisions, because it can be disastrous.
That was a huge decision. Actually, Pat, I think we were talking about it when I met you at AHR. I just hired this kid. He was 22 at the time, or 23, fully licensed.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, total go-getter. He's a great kid. But I was nervous because, not only do I need to feed my family, I need to feed, what's going to be his. But he was, it was perfect though, because he's engaged, and and he was bouncing back and forth between his future in-laws and his parents' house. So, you know, if I failed, you know, I was going to feel bad, but it would be way worse if it was, you know, someone who was well-established, young kids at home, you know, that type of thing. Then they'd be scrambling for a job, and that pressure was kind of off. But it's been fantastic so far. And it's been a good trial run. I think it's gone great, and you know, I'm ready to probably pick up another guy who's got a family, and I feel ready to take that on.
We talk to Rich, you know, our other co-host all the time. He started his own business, and he's fortunate enough that he has one of his sons working with him, you know. But you know, he's always talking about like when's the right time to bring someone in to get the other truck. And he's like, and everybody we talk to is like, that's the hardest decision, like, because like you're busier than you want to be, but you're like, am I busy enough to support another guy? Like, you know, it's your business. Like, are you all right with, hey, I can't work today, but this guy's going to work today? Like, can I afford to do that? I mean, that's a wild place to be in.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to see that, you know, you're growing and you're, you know, you got a guy out there and you're thinking about bringing another one on. That's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, it's that is a hard decision, because once, you know, you're sort of bottlenecked right now with all that work coming in, and you know, you get another truck, another guy, that bottleneck gets wider. And I guess maybe for the first few months it's probably a little thin, so you probably need to reserve some overhead for it to kind of get you through it. But you just got to go out there and you know, find some more contractors or homeowners or whatever, and start selling some more work. And you know, hopefully before you know it, you're bottlenecked again and thinking about getting another guy. I don't have any aspirations to be this, you know, 10, 12 person company. You know, I'd like to get one more guy, and then certainly want to get a helper, and definitely start getting these young kids into the trades, and kind of give them back a little bit.
That's cool.
Sounds like you're not being suckered into 10x and 100x. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know. No, slow and steady, you know.
Everyone can do it. I'm going to sell you my secret.
Yeah. $1,000. I'll tell you anything you want.
$1,000 a month, and I'll give you everything you need to know. I'll sell you client lists, and that's wild. That is wild.
You get solicited a lot by, once you got your S corp and everything, you start getting hit with people trying to do anything?
No, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I think probably the Instagram feed ads were coming up probably a little bit more with, you know, that type of stuff. But no, it was not really.
Yeah, it's in the Facebook groups, and it's wild. Some of these guys, dude. Even LinkedIn, like I get ads all the time. Like, dude, I'm not even on a business, dude. I work for like one of the biggest food service repair companies in the world, and like I'm like, I don't need sales leads, bud. Sorry, you're talking to the wrong guy.
Yeah. I don't even know where they get the info from. They must be someone selling my stuff somewhere.
Dude, everybody's selling your information. If you're on a website and you're putting your information in, you better look for a button that says "Do not sell my information," because they're selling your information.
Yeah. That pops up more often. I don't believe it, but I do select, like, don't share my stuff.
If I see it, I hit it. But yeah,
for sure.
Whether they're doing it or not, it's a different story.
It's almost at the point you got to carry like a burner phone or something and a false email. You know?
I've got a personal phone, and I made a mistake in making business cards for the podcast, and I put my phone number on there, my cell phone number, and I was like, oh my gosh. So
yeah, Vistaprint was definitely selling for sure.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. And, like, I don't even turn the ringer on that phone. I'm like, I'm just whatever. I get like 20 calls a day. I'm just like, decline.
Jeez.
Leave a voicemail. I'm like, why did I do this? So, all right, man, we are coming up on 45 minutes. I really appreciate you coming on, talking about, you know, what you do, how you got involved, your thoughts on college versus trades. It's good to see that you're for both sides. You've done both sides. You know, Jason's the same way. He's done both sides. He's worked his way through. You know, Rich, he hasn't done any college, but he went straight to the trades, and he's grown a business. And I love seeing guys that started from nothing, are growing a business, and they're out there kicking butt and, you know, doing good work. That's all that really matters. So
yeah, that's it.
You want to plug your website or your Instagram or anything people can get a hold of you? And I'll also put it in the show links and notes of the show when it comes out so people know where to find you. But now's your chance to plug it if you want.
Yeah, I'll just plug the Instagram. It's just at Madden Company. All spelled out MADDENCOMPANY. That's it.
Sweet. So I will put everything in the comment, like I said, in the show description notes because I want people to go out and find you. You're a really cool dude, and I really appreciate you coming on. So, Jason, any closing thoughts?
Are you going to be at AHR?
I'm not going to go this year, but I am going to go next year.
What state is that going to be in next year? Atlanta or Vegas?
I think it's in Vegas. Next year.
Okay.
Yeah. I went last year. I liked it. And that's where I met Pat. But this year was kind of, I liked it, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to give it a year. I'll go in 2026 and just kind of see what's changed, and maybe I'll go the following year. But I just kind of wanted to see if I give it a gap year, just to see the difference of products and that type of deal.
Vegas was always that's the first one I went to. And
oh, really?
Yeah, that's the first one I went to was Vegas, and I won't miss another one, man. It's a blast. I love seeing everybody. I love being on the podcast pavilion. I love seeing people I meet on the internet. That's so cool. People come up to me like, "Oh, Pat." I'm like, "Who are you?" And they say their name. I'm like, "How do you know me?" Like Instagram. They say their Instagram name. I was like, "Oh yeah, I know you." I'm like, how many people don't show their faces like on Instagram? Like my favorite story from AHR is when I met Vader the plumber, and he sat at my table at the HVAC Tactical Awards. I was like, "Oh, who are you?" And he goes, "Oh," he said his name. I was like, "Oh." I was like, "Are you on Instagram?" He goes, "Yeah, Vader the plumber." I'm like, "Dude, you never show your face, and even when you do on camera, you have your mask on, dude."
Yeah.
I have no idea what you look like. So ever since then, he's been showing his face. So I kind of guilted him into it, but it's fun meeting everybody and seeing everybody because they're like friends, man. Like there's a saying going around that like no one shows you the love that like people you've never met before from the internet. It truly is an amazing thing.
I seen that for the first time with Jennifer's page.
Mhm.
No one gives you more love than the homie that you never met online.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys, I'm going to close this out. I appreciate you guys watching and tuning in. Once again, check out Joe Madden at Madden Company on Instagram. I will tag him in the show notes. I appreciate you guys and have a good night.
Have a good night.
If you guys would, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the podcast. It really helps us grow and helps us know which direction to move in. Also, if you have any suggestions for guests, please email me at commercialkitchenchronicles@gmail.com. Or if you want to be a guest, email me. Love to have you guys on. Thanks a lot. See you next week.